If you play FIFA career mode, then you'll know that the game can get quite unrealistic, but in today's video I'll be showing you some of the best tips to make sure that your career mode stays realistic. One way you can keep your career mode realistic is not buying players from a rival club. If you're Manchester United, buying a Liverpool or Manchester City player would never happen in real life and would be incredibly unrealistic. The same applies for any other career mode. For example, if you're managing Real Madrid, don't buy players from Barcelona, as this wouldn't really happen in real life and it'd be quite unrealistic. If you don't really know much about the club you're using in FIFA career mode and so you don't know their rivals, then I'd say don't buy players in the same league unless they're at a smaller club. So for example, with Manchester United, don't buy a player from Manchester City or Liverpool. Either buy players from a smaller club in the same league or buy players from a club in a different league such as Real Madrid. The next one might apply to you if you're doing certain career modes, but it's not recalling players from their loans. So for example, at Manchester City, you might want to recall João Cancelo from his loan at Bayern. However, that's not a good idea if you want your career mode to stay realistic, because even though he has an overall of 87 and he'll be very good for the squad, it won't be realistic to recall him. The same applies if you're doing a sporting career mode and you want to recall Pedro Porro from Spurs, but don't do that because it's not realistic. Okay, so next tip to keep your career mode realistic is to not use any glitches that allow you to get players for really cheap or allow you to cheat the game in some way. I've made a video on a glitch that allows you to get players for really cheap and it's fun to do, and if you don't care about being realistic then go ahead, but if you want your career mode to be realistic I don't recommend this glitch. Another glitch you can do is repeatedly send out players on loan and you can get their potential up to 99, but I don't recommend this if you want to be realistic. It is fun to do, but it's not realistic at all. So the next one has to do with free agents, and basically it's don't overuse free agents. If you're using certain teams, free agents can be quite overpowered, and because wages really don't matter that much in FIFA career mode, you can sign this player to pretty much any club. There's only sign 1 or 2 free agents a season. Don't sign any free agents that are too good for your club, so if you're in League 2, don't sign this player because he's too good for League 2. Only sign him if you're like in the Premier League and you need a backup or something like that. After a few seasons of the career mode, free agents could become really overpowered and you start seeing some really good players in the free agents list. So it's important to only sign realistic ones. Another way you can keep your career mode realistic is by signing a certain amount of players from the country that the club's from. So for example, if your club's in England, you should make it so at least a third of your players are from England. This makes it more realistic as most clubs have at least a few players from their country. Also, many leagues have rules that make it so a certain amount of players have to be from that country. And usually the smaller the club is, the more players they'll have from their own country. So for example, if your club's in League 2, I'd say you should make it so most of their players are from England. In a similar way, for the youth academy, you should send your scouts to the country your club's from and maybe some neighbouring countries. Another way you can keep your career mode realistic, if you get any players that are really high rated, you should sell them if you get any transfer offers. So for example, in this career mode, I'm using Everton and I've got Moise Kean up to an 87 rating. If Everton had a player this good in real life, then I'd have to sell them to a bigger club. For example, if Manchester City bid for Moise Kean, if I wanted to keep this career mode realistic, I would accept the offer. And finally, make sure you adjust the settings in the career mode before you start it to make it more realistic. So first of all, I recommend disabling the first summer transfer window because that forces you to work with the squad the team has in real life. Next up, make sure you set your negotiation strictness to strict so it makes it more difficult and more expensive to sign players. Anyway, if you did enjoy this video or found it helpful, then please consider subscribing. Also, you might be making some big mistakes in FIFA career mode that you don't know about. To find out more, click the end screen here.